So we all know that things don't happen overnight. We all know it's a summation of small things. Little small decisions we make day to day either contribute to our success or take away from our success. I need you to grasp that concept. Little things we do during the day, whatever that decision is, whether it's to sleep longer, whether it's to sleep later, whether it's to eat a certain food, whether it's not to eat a certain food, whether it's to work out or not work out. Now, mind you, I'm going to digress for a second and come back. Today has nothing to do with what those things are, but rather our approach once we have our plan. Yo, thanks for locking in and welcome to the Jyim LIfe Podcast. You are rocking out with Jyima. This week was one of those weeks that I had a lot of good conversations with my clients, and it brought out a subject that I'm insanely passionate about, which is doing the little things. Trust me, you do not want to miss this. The importance of doing the little things. I've seen it all. Let's vibe out. Yo, I really appreciate y'all joining me today for my workout. Today is one of my favorite full body quick workouts when I don't have a lot of time and I can't get my full hour to hour and a half of a workout in. So I have 2 dumbbells and a kettlebell and a mat. So first thing we're going to be doing today, and I would advise using about 1/4 of your body weight. So for me, I got 50 pounders today. So obviously just about 1/4 of your body weight. First thing I'm going to be doing is loading up for dumbbell chest presses. So once I load the dumbbells up, I'll be on my back. And I'll be going for dumbbell chest presses, right? After the dumbbell chest presses, I'm going to grab one of the dumbbells and I'm going to go for dumbbell rows. So I have one knee on the bench. I'm going to really make sure my back is straight, core is engaged, and I'm driving back for dumbbell rows. Each exercise is going to be for 10 reps. After I finish the dumbbell rows and I finish the chest presses, then I'm going to go for dumbbell squats, where I'll hold the dumbbell up here by the chest. I'm going to go down for 10 dumbbell squats. After the dumbbell squats, I got my kettlebell over here. I'm going to go for 10 kettlebell swings, right? So feel free to grab whatever weight you feel comfortable with. And then we're going to get into our subject, which is doing the little things. It adds up. Trust me. All right. Let me set the timer and then we get to it. All right. First, we're going to start with our warm up, which is a full body hip stretch. So I like to start in a plank position where I have my shoulders directly over my wrists, bringing my big toe forward here, kind of engaging my core by tucking my pelvis, and then bringing the arm up. So we're getting a full body hip stretch. So this week was definitely one of those weeks where unknowingly clients were having conversations with me that tied together, which happens. And when that happens, I swear it's almost like the universe talking to me and sending me a message in regards to something I just need to pay attention to. And this week, the theme has been patience and doing the little things, which we hear, and I think we have a broad understanding of the concept, but we don't dive into enough, or we don't just give enough value to it, right? Like nothing happens in one push, right? There's always that in between and that slow progression. I want to set the table first next we're going to go adductor to hamstring. We'll go side to side to the middle. So we all know that things don't happen overnight. We all know it's a summation of small things. Little small decisions we make day to day either contribute to our success or take away from our success. I need you to grasp that concept. Little things we do during the day, whatever that decision is, whether it's to sleep longer, whether it's to sleep later, whether it's to eat a certain food, whether it's not to eat a certain food, whether it's to work out or not work out. Now, mind you, I'm going to digress for a second and come back. Today has nothing to do with what those things are, but rather our approach once we have our plan. I don't want you to listen to today's information and think I'm giving you a strategy. I'm giving you the way to approach the strategy once you have it. So once you've consulted with a personal trainer, once you decided working with a health coach, whatever it is, next we're going to go standing quad stretch. Whatever it is, or you even went online and found a program that you really like, or you even dug into your memory and you like, oh, you know what? this program has always worked for me. Then once you have that program, this is where you need to apply this information, which is doing the little things. Now, back to what I was saying, every decision in regards to whatever program you're doing is either going to contribute or take away from your success. Period. It's going one way or the other. Nothing is going to be in between. Nothing at all. Trust me. I'm going to set the table with this, right? 3,500 calories equal a pound of fat, okay? Now, I'm oversimplifying a lot of information, oversimplifying it. So let's not get into the deep details, right? Because you have to add in glycogen stores, you have to add in water retention, all those things. But let's just say for the sake of this conversation, then we'll go child's pose to push up, that 3,500 calories equal 1 pound of fat. Let's also say for the sake of this conversation that we all burn 2,000 calories per day, which varies from person to person, depending on your genetics, your gender, all those things, right? But for the sake of this conversation, let's say we all burn 2,500 calories a day. And if we eat at an excess of 500 calories, that means every 7 days we would be putting on a pound of fat. Do we understand that first concept? Every 7 days, we'll be putting on a pound of fat if we're eating at a surplus of 500 calories. That means I burn 2,000 calories per day, then I go and eat food that brings me 500 over my caloric expenditure, right? It puts me at 2,500 calories. That's one idea I want you to understand. But child's pose push-up. I was really serious about that point. I missed this, and I need this one. So, 3, 4, good. And then I'm gonna go cobra, downward dog. Okay, so now we have on one end, we have 3,500 calories equal 1 pound of fat. On the other end, let's say if you follow your program, and this math I got from when I work with Equinox, give or take a few calculations, but if you follow their, let's say their nonlinear progression, you would lose, let's say, 2% body fat if you did a certain amount of hours per week per month, right? So let's say you're following your program. If you follow your program exactly, then you'll lose 2% of body fat per month, okay? Now let's go back to that same calculation. Before I get into my circuit, I'm gonna make sure we have this understanding here, okay? On one end, if we're at a surplus, 500 calories per day, every 7 days, we put on a pound of fat. That means in a month, we put on 4 pounds of fat, hypothetically, right? Put on 4 pounds of fat. And it's assuming that our goal is to lose weight. On the other end, if we follow our program, we lose 2% of body fat, okay? So on one end, we could put on 4 pounds of fat a month, or we could lose 2% of body fat per month. Now that we have that broken down monthly, I want you to understand one other concept is the 4 pillars, right? The 4 pillars is broken down as far as nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress. Your program should include all those things. So this doesn't mean you go and work out hard and then sleep for 2 hours. It has to be a very balanced attack. So when I'm talking about decisions either contribute or take away from your success, it means are you following your program? That means it may even include a rest day. Okay, so I don't want you to take this as let me just go crazy and just overdo it with contributing to my success. No, contributing to your success means following your plan, which should include nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress. Okay, let me do my presses. With these presses, you always want to make sure you keep your back flat. Yeah. Let's go for 10.
Warm up.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then we go rollers. All right. So you could either put on, this is assuming that your program is to lose weight, or pardon me, assuming your program is to reduce body fat. Okay. So you could either put on 4 pounds of body fat per month, or you could lose 2% body fat. Now, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, what you have to remember is that every decision you make is going to contribute to that success or take away. So now, let's say it's Monday. You get up, you have your breakfast that you planned on, you have your lunch, whatever it is. That night comes, and then your mom tells you, hey, I haven't seen you, come over for dinner. Very important, right? Mom calling, you got to go there. And then while you're there, she's having you or asking you to eat things that are not included in your program. And you know you're going to go to sleep late and then not be able to make it to the gym in the morning, right? So that's 1, 2, 3 things that are going to be compromised just by going to eat dinner at your mom's house, right? Now, I'm not saying don't go see mom. You still got to go see mom. This is important, right? What I'm saying is be aware of the decisions when you go, because your goals, I'm going to say this, your goals don't care about your mom. Your body doesn't care. You do. I care about my mom. So let's not get this confused. What it means is your body is still going to either go towards success or go away from success, whether you have a good reason or not. There's so many times I've watched clients come in and they look at the scale and they get mad at the scale. Oh my God, I can't believe it's this number after a weekend. I'm like, you think that this scale cares that it was a birthday party for your best friend? Or you think that scale cares about anything you had going on this weekend? It's going to give you your numbers regardless. So remember, every decision either contributes or takes away from your success. It is the little things. So going back to our math, it's when you go to your mom's house, I'm not saying don't go see mom or don't eat her cooking. It's how can you put this in correlation with your plan, right? Let me get my swings in. 10 swings. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. So now it's about setting boundaries, okay, and putting yourself first, not selfishly, just with yourself in mind. You need to put yourself, not selfishly, but keeping yourself in mind. I'm going to go off subject slightly for a second and come back. You have to remember, with friends and family, what makes them so dope. And I'm talking about the ones you really love, not the ones that are like kind of on the fence and you act like you like. I'm talking about the ones that you really love. What makes them so dope is you don't have the same boundaries with them that you have with acquaintances. But you have to remember, even with that in mind and how much we love our family, they don't know what our plan is. And they don't even have the information to really look out for us. I'm going to tell you what I'm talking about. Me and my mom is super close. I love my mom to death. If I go to my mom's house to eat, she can't decide what's best for me because she doesn't know the math that I did. So she doesn't even know how to, even if she wants to, which means inadvertently and not intentionally, she will be hurting me, right? Because she's not allowing me to follow the plan of what I need. So we have to remember that when our friends, when our family call us and ask us to do things that we know go away from our plan, they are inadvertently hurting us, not on purpose. We have to remember that, okay? Now, this doesn't mean that you follow your plan 100%. What it means is if you did 5 decisions in a row that are phenomenally on point, okay, now you have 1 to give, right? Now, okay, you know what, Mom? I can stay a little bit later tonight because I've been on it for 5 days, right? Or pardon me, for 5 decisions in a row. That's the way we have to always be thinking, right? Now, with the table set for the discussion, I want you to understand the conversations I had this week with my clients. So one of them, I've been working with her. I've been working with her for maybe a year and a half now. Super cool to work with. She's pretty much on her program, but it was just the last 4 to 5 months that she really started seeing results. And what's so funny is I saw it coming because it was 3 to 4 months in a row. She was consistent. She told me that she's doing the right things outside with the arrangements that we made as far as nutrition. Everything was going good. And then what happened was it was like a week. She was like, oh, I'm starting to see my arms torn. I'm starting to see the definition coming in. I'm starting to see my abs more. She's like, what did I do this week? And I'm like, oh my God, no, it wasn't this week. It's the fact that you've been on it for 3 months. It's the fact that you've been on it for 3 months that you got here. But we completely undervalue and miss that. Soak up that for a second, okay? For all you to think things happen overnight. I always see those little memes my clients send me where it's like, I did 6 crunches yesterday. I better see results tomorrow. No, you got to set it and forget it. You got to get up and do the right thing every time. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so now my client, she really thought that she had a magic week. I'm like, no. You didn't have any magic week. You were consistent. It doesn't mean that you were perfect for 4 months. It means that your plus was more than your minus. You were working at a positive, right? So going back to the mom situation, let's say it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You had 3 solid days of making decisions that all were in alignment with your goal and what you wanted to achieve. Now you go to your moms. It doesn't mean that. Now there's 3 decisions there. Count them 3. Food, sleep, your workout in the morning. Okay? Food, sleep, your workout in the morning. If you go there and you eat food that's way off your plan, you stay up too late, and you miss your workout, that's 3 things. Remember, every decision either contributes or takes away. Pick one. Pick one. Maybe it's you eat your food, sorry mom, or have your mom cater to you, and you get to sleep early, right? Then you miss your workout. Or it's the food, or it's the sleep, one of them, but don't do all 3, right? Just keep all those things in mind. Let me get my 10 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I had one client ask me this week if I was stressed out because I had a session cancel on me. I had scheduled a 5 a.m. session, and with my 5 a.m. sessions, I know it's about a 50-50 whether or not they're going to make it. I know I'm going to be there, but it's always 50-50 because it's an early time, right? And most of my clients work super hard. So it's not that they're lazy. It's their intention isn't fully lined up with the reality of how tough it is, right? So one of my clients last minute canceled, and she asked me, she said, are you stressed out? Aren't you frustrated? And I said, no, not at all. She said, why? Don't you have to set boundaries? Don't let people walk over you. And I had to explain to her, the reason why I don't get stressed out is not for anyone other than myself. I know the impact of stress. I know what happens. I know about the raised cortisol levels. I know about the inability to now burn fat. I know about the excess fat gain. All those things that happen, right? All those things that happen every time you get stressed out. So I was thinking, like, why in the world would I allow myself to get stressed out knowing it's only going to hurt me, right? Like, that's something that I don't think we ever take fully into consideration, is that when we get stressed out, it's almost like the Sphinx analogy, cutting off your nose to spite your face. You're only hurting yourself, literally. All the impact, that person that you're stressed out with or cause your stress, they feel none of that. None of that. So remember that. That's also something as far as the little things, okay? So now, going back to the decisions, it's super important for you to understand and be aware with all those decisions, either you're taking away or you're contributing. Now, all that means is, even if you got to get a little notebook to kind of put it in perspective for yourself, because we don't have the best memories when it comes to what we're doing, okay? I was doing an intake one time, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I was doing an intake with a husband and a wife, and I was asking the husband, what's your normal daily routine as far as your food schedule? He's like, well, I wake up around 8, and he was like, at around 11 o'clock, I have, my protein shake. All I heard from the wife was like, huh. I was like, so I look over at the wife. Then he goes, and at 3 o'clock, then, I tend to work out. And she was like, huh. And I'm like, okay, let's pause this. I'm like, is this true? She's like, no, that's not the case. He did that once in the past 2 weeks. I looked at him like, is that true? He started laughing. So that's all to say, we don't have the best our brains are not the most reliable computers when it comes to the data we store, because we always kind of look at it in favor of whatever we're feeling, okay? So what that means is maybe you need to keep track for like maybe the first couple of weeks, the first month. And now you know your pillars as far as nutrition, exercise, whatever your program is, stress, sleep. And you could say, today, how many decisions did I make in alignment with my goal? How many decisions did I make that are not in alignment? I'm not saying it should be out of those 10 decisions, you get all 10, but try to get like 8 out of 10. That alone in itself will have you like my client, where she woke up one day and magically started seeing lines, right? Like, no, it was 3 months, which is very important. Now, the other conversation that I had with my client, with another client, was I don't even want to say vetting, because she was definitely just communicating what her week was like, in the sense that first one was, she was out with some friends and they were drinking, eating, and she was like, well, I don't want to drink as much because I have to get up and go to the gym in the morning. And their response was, oh, it's all right, it's just one day. Again, they're inadvertently hurting her. They don't know where her math is. I give this example to Sophia. They were talking. I said, your body is like a company that you've been running for however many years you've been alive. People don't even have the ability to give you advice. We have to remember that. So when they give you advice, it's coming from their perspective and their best interest, not yours. Inadvertently, we know they love us, okay? Think about that for a second. Well, I get my 10, make my decision here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So now she was a little thrown off because her friends were like, oh, so she did have one more drink than she intended to. She still made it to the gym and she didn't feel entirely off, but she definitely didn't feel her best, right? So now I get to see it. I get to see her in the space that her friends did not take into consideration, not because they knew it and not because they knew it and ignored it, because they just didn't know. They don't know, especially if they don't work out, right? So now she's here and I'm looking at her and she's like, I can knock it out, but I definitely don't feel my best. I wish I didn't even have that one extra drink, right? So now you have to think, there's a decision, right? There's a decision that was made that was out of alignment of her program. And I know her program because I gave it to her, but she did it just almost for the sake of that, of kind of like going with the flow and not ruffling any feathers. We have to be definitive in knowing where our math is. Now, what she said conversely, which makes a lot of sense, is I know when I'm at that space, when I can have those extra drinks and stay out late, it wasn't that, right? So even if we want to keep in our mind those times, even if we want to keep in our mind those times where we're like, hey, you know what? I can't make it today, but I promise I'll make it up to you. And then kind of make a mental note, like, let me, go have a drink with them in 2 weeks and reach back out to them. Trust me, they're not even going to remember that time. When if they do, they petty. You could tell them, that's all right. I got petty friends, and I tell them as part of our jokes. 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. So now the second part to that was she had to go help someone. Once again, another close family member. And she's like, well, now I have to do my workout, right? And the family member's like, oh, can't you just miss one workout? Now, what's always so funny to me is when people say, can you miss one workout? This one right here, I'm not going to say it frustrates me, but it bewilders me, okay? It's just one thing. It's never just one, okay? Let's pause on that for a second. I got 10 kettlebell swings. Let me set my boundaries with y'all, okay? 9, 8, 7, 6. Got 5 more. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. So this is what family and friends never take into consideration. You know why? Because naturally as humans, we don't know how to separate our ego, right? And our ego, we can't look at it in the negative sense of the word ego. Ego is simply the understanding that we're important, we need to be alive, right? Now, I would say the inability to navigate that ego is the inability to understand that our closest, dearest friend has other close, dear people who also have, I shouldn't even say demands, also have wants, needs, desires from that person. So if you're the person that is setting the boundaries, please remember that boundaries are meant to be set, not understood. Boundaries are meant to be set, not understood. People are not going to understand when you're setting boundaries on them. You know why? Because a lot of times they don't understand your company, the math, or the time you put in. And to the people who always say just one, I need you to understand this concept. My client that was here this morning had 2 very close friends say it was just 1 drink, you could miss a workout, okay? Then the very next day, another family member then says, hey, you can miss that. That's 2 already. Now, you don't think that she got mother, father, uncle, cousins, other close friends. Let's say, for the sake of this conversation, if we take close friends, family, significant other, whatever else you want to think is close, whoever else you want to think is close to you, and let's say they all ask for just 1. Where does that put you? Where does that put you? So remember, the little things add up. When we're making decisions, either it's pushing towards our success or it's taking away from our success. Every decision, please be aware. It's not to scare you, but just to have you be aware, right? Now, what I'm not even talking about is the amount of time it takes for you to learn your body and the amount of focus, okay? Like, here's one thing we can't control, right? We can't control our mood. We can't control it. We can do things that can impact our mood, but once our mood is there, it's only a certain amount we can do to control it, right? Once it gets there, maybe we can start to manage it, things like that, right? So now, for your friends and family, and trust me, I'm saying it because I got a lot of very close friends, a lot of family, and they know my boundaries. Like I set them, and our relationship hasn't faltered in any way, shape, or form. We're still super tight, love them to death, right? So in order for your friends and family to understand, and for you to understand, to be there for them, you got to show up your best, because there's going to be resentment. There's no easy path, right? Either you take the discomfort of setting the boundary or the discomfort of you not feeling your best. You got to pick either one. And if they're really close friends or family, they're going to understand the boundaries and then sometimes even set them back with you. And then you develop this like dope, honest friendship or relationship. You know what I mean? The little things add up. Last time around. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, the same way my client who was doing all the right things started seeing the lines in her body fat going down, starting to reach her goal weight. It works the other way. I'm even going to use myself as an example. I'll never forget this. And I'll say my client's name for this one because she knows who she was when she laughed at me, all right? There was a 2-week span last year. She already know the story as I get into it. As my homie, though, so I can say the story. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it was about a 2-week span last year that was very celebratory, right? Meaning like we had like, let's say, I don't know, I'm making things up, but it was somewhere along these lines, like a wedding party. Then we had like a friend who had a birthday party. Then we had the gym 6-year anniversary. Then we had like all these little things that within a 2-week span, it ended up being like 7 or 8 little events. And each one of them, I wasn't even paying attention. I'm having tacos. I'm just eating whatever. Oh, That was another, yeah. So having tacos, we all went out to eat as a group, all of us. And I'm eating a bunch of things that are not in alignment with me just because I'm like, oh, Jyim, you're always on it. You know what? Just have fun. And they always make fun of me, right? They always like, so they always make fun of me where they're like, I'm gonna do this last set without the dumbbell because this little thing keeps popping out. So we'll just do a regular, the little mic. So we'll do this on regular. 10, 9, 8. So so the last one we went to was her boyfriend, and we all go out to eat. And this is the night before the incident. I'm gonna call it the incident, even though it's not that deep, but I gotta make it deep for the sake of the story. So we all go out. They're telling me the how you met story. We eating quesadillas. We having hard kombucha. We having just a grand old time, right? And then the next day we're in the gym. I go and I step on a scale just out of nowhere. Well, I could always tell with my underwear when my midsection gets a little bit more than usual. I step on a scale. I had put on like 8 pounds that I haven't seen in years. I was like, oh. And then she was like, what? I was like, yo, where these 8 pounds come from? She was like, yo, you just laughed at me? She thought it was so funny. She was like, good. She was like, good, I'm glad. So now I'm laughing that I had to replay all the decisions over again. I'm like, oh, wow, really? It was all those little decisions over the span of 2 weeks that led to that 8 pounds. And granted, most of it was water weight below. Some of it may have been fat. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, I'll put this back. Okay, so I put that on over the 2 weeks, and that little chuckle, yo, M, you know, that chuckle, I heard it echoed in my ear. I just heard it. And I was like, it's instantly that moment I realized that all those little decisions had put me in that place. But even then, if you take that 2 weeks out of it and looking at it a month, 2 months, 6 month span, I could afford that 2 week lapse because of all the decisions that I make that are in alignment. You see what I'm saying? All the decisions that I make that are in alignment allow me to have that 2 week span where I'm off. But at the same time, when I had the 2 week span that was off, my body was very unforgiving. It didn't say, oh, you're on it, you know, all this. No. It said, oh, listen, you subject to this too. So I say that to say, like, we gotta be super aware of all the little things we're doing. I don't want anybody to be compulsive. Do not start becoming that person where like every little decision you're on edge. No. It's just a light awareness, just super light, just being aware of stuff. And what's gonna happen is it's gonna cause a level of growth, right? One little exercise I think that we could pay attention to with our food, time for our cool down, full body. With our food is I've been waiting for this cool down. I can feel it. So with our food, one thing we could pay attention to, it's not what we're cutting out, but versus what we're replacing it with. So one exercise I have my clients do is what foods give you energy, from what foods take away, right? And we all know what that is. And I don't mean right away, right? Like there's some foods you eat and you can get energy for about 10 to 15 minutes, maybe even an hour, then you have that mean crash, right? When we're talking about some of those sugar highs, right? Those sugar highs where you go, oh, your blood sugar goes up and down. All right, so you want to start paying attention to what foods give you energy, what foods take away. Now, if you kind of frame it that way, then from there, you can start making decisions as to, I don't want to have that food because I know I'm going to feel after, I'm going to have low energy. Not, I don't want to have that food because then I'm not going to be skinny or I'm not going to get abs. Like, no. Think of it. I'm not going to have that food because I'm not going to have energy after, right? That's one of the biggest things. And we'll go duck to that. Here. So we go. Side, breathe. Yeah. We're all, I remember growing up in Massachusetts, a lot of my friends, super close friends, were God bodies, right? Which they follow, derivative of the Muslim nation. right? And one thing they believe is just being the sole controller of your universe and kind of determining what energy gets in, what energy gets out. Now, and I know I have to make this kind of this statement with that is that I'm a person that sees value in every belief, every religion, every following. If somebody tells me that they're Jewish, I'm looking for what type of gems I can find. As somebody tells me that they're Christian, same thing. Baptist, same thing. Muslim, same thing. So I don't want this to turn into some sort of like spiritual convincing, right? But one thing they believed was in energy and being the control of your universe. One of my favorite fighters, Jared Cannonier, he was talking about after a post-fight, like he had a lot of stress on his mind and different things, like the not stress of mind, a lot of stressors that were around him. And the announcer was like, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Look, I'm the sole controller of my universe. I determine what energy comes in and what energy goes out." All I revert that back to is day-to-day understanding you're setting and forgetting it, and everything you say and do is going into a pile. You have to decide what pile it's going into, right? Stress. I'm going to go through each one of the 4 pillars. What I wanted to leave you with is my program. And then from my program, if you want to come up with a derivative of that, I think it could help. So for me, particularly for the 4 pillars, take notes on this if you want to. I went through phases where I was super skinny, then I was super bulky. I was at around 200 pounds. I didn't like myself there. I didn't have as much energy. Now I'm like around 185. And it's where I feel my strongest and have the most energy. My clothes fit the way I want, the way I would like everything. Like everything is where I like it. So for me, my program is I fast. I cut off my food at 9 p.m. and I fast for at least 12, sometimes 14. So my next meal, or even if it's like a shake or something that breaks my fast, is at 9 a.m. the next day or 11 a.m. During the hours where I'm eating, I try to have a balanced diet. That means 1/3 of everything. I have 1/3 animal protein, 1/3 carbohydrates, healthy carbohydrates, brown rice, sweet potatoes, 1/3 healthy fat, right? Whether that's an avocado, coconut oil, and almond butter, and a coconut yogurt, something, right? So of course it's not going to be exactly 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, but that's what I strive for. Right? Even if I have a plant-based diet and at lunchtime, then I try to have some protein in the night, right? So that's for my nutrition. For exercise, I try to work out 7 days, but all 7 aren't intense, okay? That means I try to do 5 hard and 2 light, okay? So that's exercise, nutrition. Sleep, I try to get 6 to 7. It doesn't always work out that way, but that's my goal, 6 to 7. So even if I get home and just jump right in the bed and go to sleep, I'm one of those people who don't have a problem going to sleep. And stress, I just don't do it. I just don't. I refuse. It is a very active, intentional decision when I am dealing with something that could be deemed as stressful to deliberately steer myself into being in a good space, right? So for my nutrition, I try to have a balanced diet, which is fats, healthy proteins, healthy carbohydrates, and unlimited amounts of veggies. Like, I mean, I throw in a bunch of, anytime I can, veggies during my eating window. I try to sleep 6 to 7 hours, and then I make sure I'm working out 5 intense. I try to do half and half. I try to do weight training, 50%, cardio 50%. And then in addition to that, I always make sure I'm managing my stress. So that's my 4 pillars. And I always just try to be aware of where each decision is taking me. I hope you start to be a little more aware too.